back to another video, and today we'll be discussing the newest makeup announcements and releases. Welcome back, and today I'll be discussing some of the newest makeup announcements and releases that have been made in the last week or so. And I would say we're having a bit of an indie makeup heavy week. There were definitely a couple of indie makeup launches that I wasn't able to cover on last week's video. You did see maybe a sneak peek at the end of it, because the products have not been announced by the time I was like filming and having edited the video. So we have some indie things, but we also do have some like other sort of mainstream brand products. And I think the most surprising thing about this video is that apparently YSL is not done with their holiday releases, because there seems to be more stuff from YSL that is kind of looks, I think some of it is officially like holiday collection release, and one thing that I'm going to be talking about is like maybe holiday, maybe something else. But yeah, that was maybe the most surprising thing of the launches that I checked on my Instagram folder. But let's start talking about the newest makeup announcements. Okay, and let's get to the newest launches. So first, one of the releases that was a sort of sneak peek at the end of my last makeup news video. So we have the Fantasy Cosmetica launch, and this is their collaboration with Patty Bean. She is a YouTuber that I think she does quite this sort of edgy, more grungier makeup than, for example, the kind of style that I like, what is appealing to me. But I do like her content because she does feature a lot of like the newest indie launches in her videos, so that is why, for example, I do like watching her content. So this is already, I think, available. Yeah, this is already available on the Fantasy Cosmetics website, and I do think this is a launch that is going to be coming to Monolith Shop October launch. I think I might have saw somewhere that the Monolith launch, it would be on the, I think it's 19th or 20th, which is the Sunday, because usually Monolith does do their launches on Sunday. So keep your eyes on Monolith's Instagram channels if you are someone living in Europe and looking to buy this one, so you don't have to order it all the way from States. I do have to say this suits Patty Bean really quite well, what kind of aesthetic she has. So this is what I kind of expected. It's this sort of spooky season Halloween-esque launch, and there is a cat, I think, in front of the cover. But this is not a color story that appeals to me purely because of the sort of colors that the palette has. But if you are a fan of hers, or you do like this sort of spooky season palettes, I think this could be something to look into, because Fantasy Cosmetics quality seems to be quite good. I am still looking out for the palette to try out from them, because so far, even though they have quite an extensive palette line at this point, there still haven't been a palette that I have bought. But good congratulations to Patty Bean, and as I said, if you are into spooky season palettes, this could be a good palette to look into. Another launch that I did sneak peek on my sort of end of the last video, so this is from Angelica Nyqvist's brand, and this is from Singe Beauty. So this is their fall collection. And there is an eyeshadow palette with this one, but aside from the palette, there are also lip liners, which is a completely new product from the Singe Beauty line. And I have to say, it's not also a product we see a lot from indie brands, but this is related to the like startup cost. And obviously with lip liners, you can't like manufacture just one shade, but you do actually have to like account for multiple shades, which makes the manufacturing more expensive. But in terms of the palette, I am kind of thinking that this looks a bit like the muted version of maybe the summer palette, because the summer palette Singe had, it was the Agate Temptation, and that was sort of very bright, punchy red and green like palette, and this is like kind of that, but a bit more neutral and a bit more toned down. I'm still kind of like 50-60, would this be something I would like to get? Monolith Shop did already say this palette is definitely coming to the October launch, so again, if you live in Europe, just wait for the launch. But I would have maybe wished that maybe we could have gotten like maybe something a bit more different from the summer launch. Obviously this is, like as I said, more neutral heavy, and I think we also have like some yellow tones in this one, but I still kind of am seeing that there are also a bit similarities in terms of like the reddish and greenish tones, even in this more toned down. I do think this is a very good palette launch though, that if you've been expecting a more sort of neutral leaning palette from Singe Beauty, and you do like generally the color stories they've been releasing, I do think this could be a good addition to your collection. But for me, it's kind of like I'm not completely maybe in love with this one. The lip liners seem quite good shades. They are these sort of neutral, warm leaning shades. There are a couple of cool tone browns also included, but I'm good with my lip liners, so the lip liners are a skip. Couple of launches from Kiko. So first one, which is something that I will have to try at some point, though not maybe in the immediate future, though if they are probably gonna soon launch their holiday collection, because they now have the holiday gift sets on their website, so that is sort of an indication that the official holiday collection is coming soon. So maybe if I order the holiday collection, I might throw one of these in. So Kiko has redone their sort of cream eyeshadow sticks, and this is one of my most recommended cream eyeshadow formula from the drugstore. The Kiko sort of eyeshadow sticks, those are very good. They're very easy to work with, they're pigmented, but they also settle down, they don't crease, and the longevity of them it's one of the like better eye products that I have had in terms of longevity. The only downside, especially with the old packaging design, was some of them broke quite easily, so the product came loose from the sort of tube that it was in, so that was maybe the only thing that I wasn't such a big fan of with their sort of like previous variation of their lip liners. Oh sorry, lip liners, that sort of eyeshadow sticks. The range of this one, it's not as extensive yet as their sort of like current range of eyeshadow sticks, but I do believe they are gonna expand the line in the future. And there are, I think the shades are quite, I think there's one like greenish to pinkish like duochrome shimmer, but otherwise the shades are quite, I think, similar to what they have had in their sort of like previous eyeshadow sticks. I don't know, is this a sign that they are going to discontinue the old ones that are in the sort of black packaging, so keep an eye out for that if this is a staple product in your collection. But I think I'm going to be throwing a couple of these in the cart once I make my next Kiko Milano order, or if these do become quite soon available in our sort of Kiko Milano retailers, then I might just grab one in store. But some of the launches are a bit slow coming to our Kiko retailers because we don't have official Kiko Milano stores in my country, but we have a couple of makeup retailers that resell them, so that is why it takes some time. Another new release from them is that they have launched a new mascara. So this is a Kiko MaxiMod length and curl mascara. So this has quite of this sort of small skinny wand, which is something that does get me excited because I do have a smaller eye shape, so these mascaras are usually a bit more easier to apply. Kiko's mascaras, I have tried a couple of ones. I haven't been that big of a fan of them, but maybe this one could be something again that if I am shopping the Christmas collection, then maybe I could add this to my cart with the order and try this one out, because the one shape, it is kind of a smaller one, so I think I would like that one. More indie, so Gourmande Girl Cosmetics has also launched their spooky season palette, and this is called the Nevermore palette, and this is already launched on Gourmande Girls' own website, and this should also become available on Monolith Shop on the October launch. I think I'm a bit unsure actually, did I see that, are they saying that this is already coming to the October launch, but I do believe Gourmande Girls, because it's sold on Monolith Shop, this will come to them too. I have said this a dozen times, I'm not a spooky season fan because it's just not a celebration that is commonly celebrated in like where I live, and it's just not a theme that appeals to me, but I kind of do like the fact that we do have like some maybe like there are some blues in this one, which for some reason is not maybe a color that we see, because with the spooky season launches we usually see a lot of like grays, reds and purples, and then we kind of see like oranges and greens, but this has also some blues to it, so it is a bit different. It is quite of a muted palette, but there are some like pops of colors in this one, so I think it's a bit different from some other spooky season launches we see, but not a color story for me. So Zoeva's advent calendar is now available. I think this is only a 12-day advent calendar. I think when I look, like, you can see the products in the picture, I think these are quite like staple products from the brand, so if you are I think because it's a 12-door one, and usually these 12-door ones don't offer such a good value, I think these would be good calendars as a gift to someone maybe looking to try into a variety of products from a one single brand, but maybe in terms of getting the best value for money, these aren't always the ones that I would recommend. I think like the products that are in here, it's okay. There are, I think, like lip products, there's a mascara. I think the mascara is like one of their newest, relatively new product from them, so it's good that they're not only putting old products. And I think there is one of their liquid blushes. So I think it's like for me, this is not something that is appealing, but if you want to like try a variety of Zoeva products, this could be a good calendar to look into. Then to very pricey launches. So Hermes has launched a new sort of like, I think it is blush, and it has a very cute like horse embossing on the pan. I'm a bit unsure. I assume because Hermes is a high-end brand, I think the embossing is meant to last, because with some brands the embossings they do last even though you kind of do use the product. So with the prices they are charging out, at least expect that one. The powder is named after a roco with the traditional blue and red stripes worn by racehorses, which Hermes has been producing since 1920s. So wow, this is clearly something based on a very OG product. This is one of those things that like if I would get it, I probably first of all couldn't use it because it's Hermes, and I probably would have spent so much money to it that I would just dare to touch it, and also because I would just want to preserve the horse in the pan. But this is for a sort of like, I like my high-end and even a bit of my luxury makeup, but I think the Hermes prices even with their makeup goes to the category that it's just it's not something that I can't be spending my money on. But I mean, it is a very beautiful and eye-catching product, certainly like maybe as a gift for someone if you have the budget to spend. This could be very wonderful, but it's a skip for me. But I can like appreciate this design of this one like quite a lot. I do like it. Spooky season collection. So Kryptein Cosmetics has launched their Apocalypse collection. Again, try saying that as a non-native English speaker. There's quite a few things. We are seeing a palette that was quite interesting. This is an interesting thing because the Emerald City, which was the palette that was actually in the last Monolith Shop launch and was already launched I think during September, I thought that was their spooky season palette because it was there's like grungy green color story, but apparently they also do have a second sort of Halloween-esque collection. Aside from the palettes, I think there are multichrome singles, one multichrome single, one matte eyeshadow, and 4 lip glosses. I don't think I have seen lip glosses from Kryptein Cosmetics before, so that is a new product from them. I'm out with this one. It goes to the like spooky season color category with these like reds and deep shades. Although I do have to say, like for a spooky season palette when I'm looking, because this has more muted neutrals also in it, if I would be buying a spooky season palette, I think this is quite close to something, because aside from the like reds and purples, there are actually some like more, almost like more leaning neutrals in this one. So it's not a like completely no-go for me, but still because of the sort of theming, this is a skip. Then to the first of YSL launches. So first one is a new Couture mini clutch. So this is their sort of 4-pan quad, and this is the one where I'm a bit unsure that is this a holiday release like continuation, because we have already seen their sort of holiday quad which is in the gold packaging, but because this is in a glittery pink packaging which makes this very attractive to me, I'm kind of thinking that is this some kind of other limited edition collection, not maybe solely belonging to a holiday line. I'm actually looking at the colors and now I'm thinking that could this be next year's Valentine's? Are we already seeing next year's makeup? Well, I wouldn't be surprised since we are having already, like we had already most of the holiday collections, and we are apparently now getting the fall collection. So the next logical thing would be to get the next year's early February, early January, and then the February collections and then the Valentine's, because that is the next like I think seasonal thing. Yeah, I don't have a definitive answer with this one that what collection this belongs to, but the colors are when I'm looking at the colors that have been selected into the quad, I would have maybe wished that the other one of the sort of like pinkish shade, matte shades that are included would be a bit deeper, because the two matte shades, they look very similar in tone, so I'm thinking that you're not getting a lot of depth with this one. I do kind of like the shimmery shades that are in this one, but yeah, the packaging, it is definitely pulling my heartstrings, but in terms of what's inside the packaging, it's not necessarily something that's gonna make me spend the money. But keep your eye out for this one. I do think we might find out later that is this something that's gonna be releasing still during this year, or is this already gonna be a launch for the next year. Danessa Myricks has released a new Lightwork palette. This is one of her bigger palettes. She did release one of these during last year and it was very popular. Like, considering how expensive that palette was, I do think it's a palette that sold out almost in every place that it was sold. So it was very popular, but I can get it because Danessa Myricks kind of makes getting these sort of multi-chrome shadows more easy to the mainstream consumers who don't want to order through indie brands, because she is sold quite widely on Sephora and also on other retailers. So this is the Freedom Makeup Palette, and unlike the previous year's palette, which was all shimmers, this now has matte. So apparently Danessa Myricks said that a lot of people had been asking for this kind of palette with mattes and also maybe a bit more neutral shades. I actually think that I am liking almost over half of this one. Obviously the one that has the grays and blues, like I think you could have maybe guessed based on the preferences that I've been telling on my channel, that probably that section is not the appealing one, but I actually do kind of like the neutral, like greenish muted golden one, and then the mauvish one that is in the middle. So yeah, this is something that probably I would be maybe like mildly interested in, but I do also know the price of this one, the euro price of the palette that was sold last year, which did have only multi-chromes, that was like over 150 euros. It was very expensive. I'm thinking because this one also has mattes, that would it be maybe a bit more cheaper, because obviously the less you have these special shades, the less it should be the cost to produce the palette. It says on the description box that it's 128 US dollars, so that though is kind of indication, because I didn't think also the previous Lightworks palette, it went in the States with similar pricing, so it could also be that despite the fact that this doesn't have as many special shades, this is still as expensive as the Lightwork palettes on previous year. This is going to be released on the 9th of October, and I think it's going to be first available on States, and then it's going to start trickling down to the European retailers. But yeah. Maybe give a comment about this one. What do you think? Is this something that you want to spend your money on, like considering that this might make it more accessible for you to get kind of special shades, and also because this now has matte, so you probably more people would be able to use this sort of as an all-around palette, because for example, I'm a person who can't just use all shimmer palettes alone. I'm not a person who likes doing this fancy all shimmer look, so yeah. Beauty Bay has also launched their, I think this is gonna be their sort of holiday season-esque palette. So usually Beauty Bay, they don't do like for the last few years they have released like a palette for the holiday season, but it's not like just for Christmas. So this is, what is this called one? The Dark Lights Eyes collection, and in this collection we have the eyeshadow palette. There are eyeshadow sticks. These eyeshadow sticks are the shimmer sticks seem to be now very popular, and then you can, if you buy this on a set, you can also get their mascara. It's a grungy purple palette, so I think it's safe to say that this is a skip from me. I think while there are some of these more like muted purple tones in this one, there are also quite a lot of tones. Like I think this is one of those palettes that I would have a bit difficulties, because this goes quite deep. There are like few lighter shades in this one, but it's a very, in terms of like also the shimmers that are included in this one, there are quite a lot of deep tones in this one. So I think for my makeup preferences, I would need maybe a bit more in between shades. But if you have been looking for a sort of grungy sort of like palette that maybe goes to the sort of like seasonal party looks that we are gonna be soon like getting with the Christmas and New Year's, then this could be a good buy. And also if you've been interested in these shimmer eyeshadow sticks at a more affordable price, then maybe you would throw one of those into your cart. But I think for me this is gonna be a skip purely because of the color story. Patrick Ta has released 3 eyeshadow, like 6-pans, like 3 6-pan eyeshadow palettes, and these are all matte palettes, and basically these are apparently meant to be like all matte palettes for different kind of like skin tones. So we have one that is a bit paler, then I think one for which is more sort of medium skin tones, and one that is for deeper skin tones. These are 44 US dollars each. I do think these are a bit like expensive. I'm trying to like maybe think, because his big palettes that have the like 2 cream shades, and then you have the shimmers and mattes, those go around 70 euros, and so these are 44. So maybe for 6 matte shades I would have maybe liked that, maybe like, I don't know, maybe a 35, like obviously the 44 US, that's a US dollar price, but I would like maybe for like 35 US dollars these could be, maybe I would have said that yeah, okay, it's Patrick Ta, you get a nice packaging. And after now having been trying out the Patrick Ta eyeshadow palette that has been in my rotation, I can say it's a pretty high quality eyeshadow, but I'm just thinking that 44 US dollars for 6 pan matte palettes. I think you can get 6 pan matte palettes that are still good quality, maybe at a more affordable price. So I do think that these, again, just like the eyeshadow shimmer duos, these are a bit overpriced for what they are. But if you have been looking for a all matte palette from Patrick Ta, then this could be something to look into if you want to spend the money on these. Oh gee, the second part of YSL collection, the YSL releases, I could have gone to this one also when I was talking about the first part. So this is apparently does belong to their holiday launch, and this is very strange that apparently we had the holiday launch 1 and now we have the holiday launch 2. I think the most interesting thing about this one is the big eyeshadow palette. I think there is one of their fragrances is in a special edition packaging. It is a bit different packaging compared to the one that we already seen before. This also has the golden theme on it, but unlike the gold packaging we've seen previously, this kind of has the effect that these are like gold flakes on top of the packaging, rather than the sort of other packaging that we have seen, which is much more, I think, smoother. The most interesting thing about this one though is the eyeshadow palette. It is a very like rosy reddish looking palette, and this is one of their bigger palettes. I don't think YSL releases these that often. I think this is a palette format they only do once a year for holiday season, and I do remember this is usually a palette format that also comes to our retailers. However, I also remember that these are very hideously expensive. So this is gonna be the Golden Fairy Red dipped in Glamour, which is one of the lipstick shades, and there's also gonna be another red lipstick shade, which is the Icon Tomato Red laced with golden sparkle, and then there is the Libre Eau de Parfum Gold Edition. So I think it's one of their like existing perfumes in their range. It's in a nice packaging. But what is the eyeshadow palette gonna be called? 10 color eyeshadow palette. Okay, the eyeshadow palette so far we don't have the name for it, but yeah. So I think this might be because you have been now able to get some of the YSL holiday releases already on some retailers. So I think this is gonna be the like the holiday release part 2 that's gonna be coming to retailers maybe a bit closer to Christmas, maybe around at the end of October, November. I am mildly interested in the eyeshadow palette, even though because these are usually over 100 euros. I'm not sure do I want to spend that much money on this particular one, but it's like a very pretty rosy color story, I do have to say that, so that is probably why it's appealing to me. Okay, so we're gonna end this one with, we're going from one very high prices to very low prices. So Essence is coming out with a collaboration with Alice in Wonderland. I'm kind of thinking that is this gonna be another one of those like collaborations with Catrice. So Essence and Catrice are sister brands. I think they're owned by the same like umbrella company, and they sometimes do these like Disney collab collaborations, so, like Disney collab collaboration. Like that's hard. So they basically like usually, for example, they have done they did the Finding Nemo and Up the Pixar animation, or not this one, or they did the DC collab where I think Essence did the Superman stuff, and then I'm blanking now what Catrice did. Well, there was another DC collab. Yeah, Catrice did Wonder Woman in that collab, or the other DC collab I think where Catrice did the Joker and Essence did the Harley Quinn stuff. So I'm kind of like thinking that is this maybe like the other part, and we're gonna see maybe like Catrice doing another like movie. But I do have to say for Essence this is actually looking very nice. I usually have tried to stay away from these Essence and Catrice limited edition collection because the quality has been a bit like hit and miss, unlike with their sort of like seasonal updates. But I am kind of liking, I think there's the blush that is meant to be the clock that the sort of pocket watch that the rabbit has. I am also kind of eyeing that the eyeshadow palette is looking actually pretty decent for being an Essence eyeshadow palette. It's kind of like this sort of muted color story. And what else? I think there is is it a highlighter or, where is that one? Psychedelic, no, it can't be called to sorry, not psychedelic, pH reacting lip and cheek balm. Okay, so it's gonna be one of those very sort of shimmer balm for products, and there is a matte fluffy mousse matte blush included, and there is also, I think that looks like a highlighter maybe that has the cat on it, and then there is a Lash Princess mascara in a limited edition packaging and some other things. Yeah, I think for Essence is like, this is appealing. Is this something I'm gonna buy? As I said, I do try to avoid buying this, but maybe if these look nice in our stores, maybe I could be interested in getting this one. So this goes to kind of like the meh category of like buying things that maybe if I see this and the stuff looks also good in store when I'm seeing it, then I could maybe try a few items, but generally maybe not something I'll kind of prioritize in terms of things that I'm gonna be buying. Those were the releases that I had to discuss for this week. I do have to say, like, my favorite launch is surprisingly the YSL, and I'm now mainly talking about the Christmas, like the extended Christmas launch and not the quad that I did discuss first. But I have discussed that previously that I have already been liking the YSL sort of golden packaging theme, so interested to see how expensive the big palette is gonna be, because as I said, I do remember that those have generally been in our retailers like around 120, and I think even worse, some have been like around 140, so they are quite expensive, and then I'm like going that maybe for the YSL formula, having now tried the quad formula, even though it's a good high-end formula, I don't necessarily think that I want to spend the money on big palette, but I do think aesthetically it was one of the like standout collections that I had to discuss in this video. Comment down below what was your sort of favorite launch from this one. If you like this video, push the like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell button if you want to get notifications from future content. You can also find me with the same nickname, Makeup Hedgehog, on Instagram. I hope you're gonna see another video. Bye bye.